Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day so far, and welcome to today's video where I'm going to be sharing 20 stunning single shadows. If single eyeshadows, one and done eyeshadows are your thing, or you're looking to make them your thing, keep watching. So we have some liquid eyeshadows, we have some cream eyeshadows, and we have some powder single eyeshadows to talk about today. Apologies, I know some of you are going to be furious with me, as you always are, that I'm not applying all 20 of these eyeshadows today. To be honest, my eyelids just don't have that in them. I feel like they would just fall straight out of my head if I tried to apply all of these today and then remove them, and I just don't want raw eyeballs, okay? I can't handle that. I don't have it in me. Today it's a Monday and I don't have 20 eyeshadow applications in my soul, if I'm being really honest, and I don't want to be like raw and in pain for the rest of the week or year, as the case may be. But we are going to do some great swatches, and I am going to tell you all about these stunning 20. I wanted to include a really nice number and not just do sort of 10, which is probably the number that my eyelids could cope with. I wanted to include the 20 most beautiful that I've ever tried that are in my collection, so that we could get a really nice number and a lot of options color wise and formula wise for all preferences. So let's kick things off with the first single shadow from Chanel. This is Patine Bronze, and this is in the Ombre Premiere formula. So this is like a cream, but a very sort of, I don't want to say dry, because dry sounds like wrong. You think crumbly, you think flaking, but I just mean this, it doesn't feel wet. It feels very much like a powder. It's a sort of cream to powder type feel. And as you might expect from Chanel, this is a very sort of elegant, understated single shadow. This is a very subtle, soft, very easygoing, very elegant shadow that isn't sort of screaming metallic, impactful, but it is quieter and more refined and just a very typical Chanel finish and amount of pigment and amount of metallicness to it. It's not the most sparkly, but it is very beautiful. It's very smooth. It's very flattering on textured lids. Not that I would know anything about that with my smooth as a baby's bum eyelids, but you know, that's what people tell me. It doesn't crease, it's very easy going, very easy to work with. You can absolutely use a finger to apply this, and it's just a beautiful, easy going one and done shadow. Next, let's talk about a classic formula, classic one and done shadow, the formula that I'm wearing today, and it's Charlotte Tilbury's Eyes to Mesmerize, the original formula. Now I have three. I have three different shades that I absolutely love in this formula that I want to share with you today. First up, we have Exagger-eyes. This is a very easygoing, everyday shade for me. It's very natural. It's kind of a sort of natural pinky brown with some sparkle in there. And it's not completely matte, but it's also not like the most impactful metallic finish of some of these Charlotte Tilbury shadows. They have like a bit of a range and a variance as to how shimmery they are. This one is definitely, it's mostly a sort of satin with some sparkle in there, but it's a perfect base is what I found. It's either you can use it as a very natural sort of almost matte all up in the crease and all over the lid, very office appropriate, like everyday, quick on the run, natural, no makeup shadow. Or you can actually use this as a beautiful base with some of the other single shadows that have a bit more punch if you want some more like of a metallic finish. But this is just a very easy, beautiful, natural, one and done, bit of something, no makeup type of shade. But this formula in general is just so easy. It's one of my absolute favorite single eyeshadow formulas. It's one of my favorite cream eyeshadow formulas. Very easy, buff it in, tap it in with the finger. I never find that they crease, they wear really nicely, and I just love the finish of them. I actually realized I just found another, there's actually four. I have four shades. I knew that wasn't right. I knew three was not right. Next is Sunlit Glow, which is the shade that I'm wearing today and probably my favorite shade of all. We then have Pillow Talk and Jean, which I think is now named Champagne. They changed the name of this one, but I have Jean. So here we have Exagger-eyes, Sunlit Glow, Pillow Talk and Jean, or Champagne as they're now known. Jean, I think, is like the shiniest, most reflective of the four, and it has that sort of brighter, it's almost like a highlighting champagne shade. Absolutely beautiful. Pillow Talk, again, much like Exagger-eyes, it could be a perfect, very natural shade that you could use as a base, but also a perfect like one and done, very no makeup. And then Sunlit Glow, which I have on today, is just stunning. It's so special. It's that pink to gold shift, and it's so pretty and unique, and I absolutely love the colour of that one. So as you can probably tell, as I included 4 in this roundup, I absolutely love these eyes to mesmerize. They're one of my favourite, if not my favourite, one and done single eyeshadow formulas. They're just beautiful and so easy to use, and they last forever. Like that Jean shade, obviously because I have the original name, I've had for years and it still feels basically the exact same as all of the others. Nice and soft and moussey and creamy and just beautiful. Next up, let's talk about this Pat McGrath limited edition single eyeshadow. This is the shade Smuggler's Spice, which is the first one to sell out from this whole collection from Pat McGrath, and with good reason, because it's just so flipping pretty. This is a powder formulation, and it has such a beautiful metallic high shine finish, but the colour, it's just so beautiful. It's not like groundbreaking, but it is quite unique at the same time, just with the tones that are in there. And I just find the reflect on this one so pretty. It's just the exact type of colour that I love, and I feel like it's one, much like the shade that I've used today from Charlotte Tilbury, that you can just use and sort of slightly blend into the crease a little. You don't need, you know, a transitional shade, you don't need anything else, and it just gives you the prettiest but very wearable, beautiful eye look. I don't know if these will be back or not. They're so pretty. I really hope they're made permanent and we get a lot more shades, because they're so beautiful. And if you can find a colour like this one that you love and just want to wear a lot, it's a beautiful way to wear Pat McGrath eyeshadows without spending £100 on a mothership. Especially if you know that you just won't use a lot of what's in a mothership and you just want, you know, a couple of those beautiful, impactful shadows, that's like the perfect way to get that. Next up, a single shadow from Urban Decay that went super crazy viral on TikTok, which is the reason why it kind of caught my eye, because Urban Decay have completely gone off my radar. And then I saw this shadow in action. This is the Space Cowboy Moon Dust single shadow, and it's just so pretty. The name, I think, is so apt. Moon Dust just says it perfectly. This shadow actually has very little base. It's basically just like reflection and shine and a bit of twinkle. It's quite subtle because it doesn't have a lot of base, but it just has the prettiest twinkle to it. The finish of this shadow is just so pretty. You know, the base is almost like invisible on my skin tone. It just gives me twinkly eyes, like really pretty, kind of subtle but really sparkling eyes. It's not like a super metallic, really impactful amount of pigment. It's a softer, more sheer as far as the colour, but just twinkle and sparkle that really hits the light beautifully. It's just a very pretty one to put all over the lid or just in the centre of the lid and almost get like a wet look, like a glossy looking lid. It's just so pretty and easy to use. A perfect like night out. You want to look really pretty and have a really pretty simple eye, but it takes seconds. Next up, let's talk about the Victoria Beckham singles. I have 2 shades that I absolutely love. First up, we have Honey, which is, as you would expect, that sort of warm honey gold. Very pigmented, these single shadows from Victoria Beckham, and they have a beautiful amount of shine, but they're not super sparkly. They are metallic. Very smooth though, and very pretty. And the second shade that I have is Chiffon, which is just absolutely gorgeous. Definitely lighter and more champagne than Honey. We have Honey and Chiffon here, and it just really depends what you're going for, but both shades are just beautiful, very easy to work with, not like crumbly or flaky. They are really smooth, like gel powder, cream powder type of hybrid finish. I would say they don't feel like a cream at all, but they also do not have any kick up or fallout. They're very smooth, sort of gel powder consistency. I really like these. I think they are just super pretty and wearable and a beautiful one and done shadow. Because the particular shades that I chose in this formula are both quite sort of subtle and lighter, I feel like these work beautifully with a bit of a transitional shade, bit of bronzer in the crease, and these are just the most beautiful all over the lid shade. So wearable, so easy to use, no fallout, no kick up, just a beautiful, smooth, but very, very pretty shimmer shade. Next, let's talk about these Lisa Eldridge Liquid Lurex shadows. I have 2 of these in my top 20 singles. First up, we have Cressida. Stunning, such a beautiful, like pearlescent, so reflective, beautiful shade. And then we have Emily, which is just the absolute perfect, like neutral, sort of slightly taupey colour, very easy, very flattering on the eye, just such beautiful shades. Lisa is such a genius when it comes to colour, and these are such beautiful colours. These are a liquid eyeshadow and very easy to work with. The doe foot is beautiful, and I find this formula amazing and very easy to use. They are very buildable, so they can be very subtle and soft, or you can really layer them and get a very metallic, high impact finish, which I really like. But both of these colours, I mean, use these colours together and that is stunning. Again, they're one where you can just give them a bit of a buff into the crease. You don't need a transitional shade. You don't need anything else. They are very, very easy to use. They don't crease, they don't budge, and they are just beautiful. The doe foot is also small enough to run under your lower lash line, so you can make everything super cohesive, and you don't even need a brush. You can literally use the doe foot and tap in, and they are just perfect, like on the go, travel friendly. They're not going to shatter like some of the powders. So yeah, these are one of my absolute favorite ever liquid shadows in general, single shadows for sure. Next up, I want to talk about a brand that is very, very new to me and may well be new to you. And this is A Touch of Glam Beauty, who sent me a load of their single shadows. They are an indie brand based in the US, vegan and cruelty free. And as per the usual with these indie brands, they are bringing the single eyeshadows, especially like the duochromes. Nobody does like duochromes like indie brands. And 2 of my favorite shadows, absolutely stunning shadows from Touch of Glam Beauty that I want to share with you today. First, we have Spring into Action. And I mean, you can see these are just another level of like what we've been talking about so far. The shine, the reflection, and just the shift in the shade is absolutely stunning. This shade really reminds me of like Mothership 1 from Pat McGrath. It's got that sort of reflection, almost like looks like moonlight, you know, as you sort of tilt that, the reflection. I'm sure the camera is not doing it justice, but how it looks is just like the most stunning moonlit reflection. Absolutely glorious, looks like water. It's absolutely gorgeous and such an interesting shade. It literally looks like water. Moonlit water is what this reminds me of. Absolutely stunning. And then of course I had to include a green, and this is Newly Minted. I feel like indie brands always bring the amazing names. Like, this is the green that I wish was in so many palettes. It's just sort of missing, but they've absolutely nailed it. And it looks quite intimidating in the pan, but actually on the eye, and you can see there from the swatch, it's actually so wearable, but so reflective and so beautiful. Absolutely stunning shadows. I mean, the reflection is like another level, isn't it? Next up, I have one single shadow on my list of favorites from Chantecaille, and this is the Giraffe shade. It has that beautiful giraffe picture on the front, but the shade name itself is Burnished Brown. This is quite a rich brown, very warm, very chocolatey, beautiful bronzy brown there. It's just so pigmented, so impactful, a beautiful chocolatey shade. For me, this is definitely one that would be like an evening out, one and done, smoky chocolate eye. Beautiful, like winter, autumn shade. Absolutely gorgeous. Really needs like no work, no building up. Blends itself into the crease and it just is stunning. It's got such a beautiful, smooth luminosity to the finish, but it's super smooth and pigmented to work with, and you need a tiny amount, easily can apply with a finger. These are lovely, and this is absolutely my favorite shade. I think it's so interesting when you actually look at it up close. It's got some real sort of almost like golden shine to it. It's so pretty, very chocolatey. It literally looks like a hot chocolate to me. Doesn't smell like one though, that's sad. But a beautiful shadow, perfect for evening, perfect for a one and done smoky eye. Next up, another shadow that I spoke about in my favorite liquid and cream video. This is another one from Chanel. This time, this is their liquid shadow, and it is in the shade Rayon. And as I mentioned in that creams video, this is definitely a bit more Chanel. Like, compare this to the Lisa Eldridge, and you definitely, once it's applied, you get a bit less impact. It's a bit more subtle. It's a bit more Chanel, more sort of luminous and refined and understated and less metallic and impactful. So this is like a perfect daytime for me. It's definitely a little thinner than like the Lisa Eldridge or the Pat McGrath liquid shadows, and it feels lighter weight and thinner and has less base, and it just becomes, when you blend it, actually much more subtle. You can't really build this like you can the Lisa Eldridge and get a more impactful shadow. It kind of is what it is, and it's just pretty elegant, refined, understated, but still very beautiful. And I really appreciate these. They're very easy to use. They don't crease, they don't budge. They are a beautiful formula, and this shade is just a very pretty, easy to wear one and done shadow when you don't want to do a lot but you want to have a prettier and brighter eye. I think it's such a beautiful shade. Next up, I want to talk about this little single jeweled shadow. This is a powder, like a pressed sort of pigment powder from Charlotte Tilbury. I don't know if you can still get these. They don't seem to be on her website anymore, but I'm not sure if these will be back. I think they are so pretty. I really hope they're back. When I was comparing the new shade of her Hypnotising Pop Shot in Pillow Talk to this one, I realised why I prefer this, because it just has more base to it. So I think it's easier to get impact from it, and it's so pretty. I also find it has less kick up, less fallout than the Pop Shots, and it has just as much sort of shine and impact, but I find them a bit easier to use without having to deal with all of the fallout, and the shade has that bit much more base than the Hypnotising Pop Shot in the same shade does. So this one for me just works way better, and it's in that beautiful sort of peachy shade, absolutely beautiful. So I hope these will be back, because this shade in particular is so pretty, and I'm going to start reaching for this because I'd almost forgotten all about it until I went into my drawer to kind of find all of my single shadows, and I thought, wait a minute, why don't I use that more? So speaking of the Hypnotising Pop Shots from Charlotte Tilbury, I love a couple of these. A couple of these I haven't got on with as well. So the Pillow Talk shade, I like it, but it just didn't quite have the base that this version does. It's a little too sheer as far as the amount of pigmentation and the opacity, but Emerald eyes and also diamond eyes are absolutely perfect. As I was just saying, they do have quite a bit of fallout. You will need to do your eyes first and prepare for this to be like all over your face. But to me, it's so worth it because these are just absolutely beautiful. So we have emerald eyes, and then diamond eyes, which has definitely become probably my most used, I would say, like one and done shadow, that type of shadow, that sort of champagne, one and done. You just want to do a bit of shimmer on the mobile lid. That is definitely, I would say, become my kind of most used go-to shade when I just want a bit of shimmer. But emerald eyes, oh, it's just, I mean, I think we all have some green shadows by now, but I think this one is just so perfect. The shade and the depth and everything of it it's absolutely stunning. But you definitely need to be warned and aware that these do have quite a bit of fallout. If that is something like a deal breaker to you, steer clear of these because they do have quite a lot. Next up, one from Hindash. This is Boy Tears. I love that. And this is a liquid shadow. I think it's also sort of said that you could use this as a highlighter, or it's like a multi-use type of product. But for me, in my collection, this is only used as a single lid shade, and it is so flipping beautiful. It's got a lot of sparkle and reflection to it, and again, it's one that's very easy to use, very easy to just pat on top of the lid and go, and it's just so pretty and beautiful. This one has like a lot of sparkle to it when it's blended out. Like, I think in comparison to the Chanel, in comparison to the Lisa Eldridge, as far as a liquid shadow, this one definitely has like the most sparkly, glittery finish to it. Very, very pretty when it catches the light. I love this with a bit of a transition shade. It's just so easy, but it is very eye-catching. I think whenever I use this, I do get a lot of comments saying, oh, what's on your eyes? It's so pretty. It is very eye-catching, very reflective, very light reflecting. It just twinkles in the light so prettily. I think again this would be beautiful for an evening, for a night out, if you're going for some drinks, if you're going out. This is going to really be so beautiful, catching the light and reflecting. It's just beautiful, stunning, the perfect shade. Again, not a huge amount of base, which makes it so versatile, and it just is very easy again to use. It doesn't dry down super quickly, but it also doesn't take much building or blending either. So you can be done in moments with, again, just tapping a finger. So pretty. And lastly, but by no means leastly, this is the shadow that tempted me, or prompted me, I should say, to do this whole video again, because this was a shadow that I saw from my friend Maria on Instagram, and Maria was influenced by Michelle Wong to pick up this single shadow from Dior. This is Beige Mitza. As both of those wonderful women told me, this is the ultimate perfect one and done shadow. I think what makes this shade so special is it's just so flipping versatile. This is like daytime friendly, evening friendly. It's got a beautiful amount of shine, but without it being super textured. It's very smooth, it's very pretty. You don't need anything in the crease to go with it. And it's like the perfect taupey, neutral shade. It's just like the sweetest spot when it comes to this type of shade. It's not too dark where you feel like it's not really daytime appropriate. I put this on for the first time and I was literally going, I think, to the soft play with my children, and initially I was like, oh, I've done too much. But once I blended it into the crease, it was so daytime friendly and appropriate and easygoing and very, very low maintenance. But I could easily see how, you know, applying another layer or just taking it higher up into the crease would be a very smoky, beautiful eye. It's just the most perfect versatile every day of your life. Daytime, office, school run, night out, you could use this shadow. You'll get so much use out of it. Very easy to use, doesn't have a lot of fallout, very, very creamy and pigmented, and it's got a beautiful amount of reflection and shine to it, but it's not sparkly or chunky. It's such a lovely shadow, and I think the real special thing about this is, one, the perfect color, and two, the versatility of it. A lot of these, you know, it's going to depend on the occasion or how much makeup you want to wear, and some of them are just, you know, a little understated if you want to do a lot more makeup. Whereas this one, it's going to suit any occasion, any makeup look. It's very inoffensive, it's very easy to work with, it's not going to argue with anything. Color story wise, it's absolutely perfect. And so there you have it, 20 stunningly beautiful single eyeshadows that I have to share with you today. Please let me know any formulas, any colors, any shades that I need to try when it comes to single eyeshadows. Please let us know in the comment section down below what I'm missing out on, what I need to try, what ones you would recommend. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I would love to see you in the next one. Otherwise, take care for now. Bye 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 bye.